Hi, this is Paul Wolf again. Um, this is my very first video other than my intro, so bear with me. I'm gonna instead of giving you actually advice on this one, I'm just going to discuss something that's new and happening in our industry, and it's going to have an effect upon um, restaurants everywhere. Eventually, this is going to be a phenomenon that's going to affect every single restaurant in the nation and in the world. It's just part of the way society and culture is changing, and it's of particular interest to me because it's a field that I've wanted to get into and have been a part of um, for a long time, for nearly 20 years, over 20 years, and I want to change it and improve it. As a matter of fact, here shortly. I won't go into that, but the subject today is new de- new delivery services. Some of these companies that are doing this are now called Grubhub, Order In, Total Takeout, Order Up, Postmates, Delivery.com, and even Uber Eats, if you're familiar with Uber at all. Um, these are companies that don't produce any food, they don't make anything, they just simply connect you with your favorite restaurants, hopefully your favorite restaurants, to um, deliver the food to you. Um, and I'm going to get into my opinions on this and everything, and what I think about it, and if you're a restaurant owner, I might help you consider going with one of these services or not, or adding delivery service yourself or whatever. So um, the the first where I'm going to start here is on Roman numeral one. Why do we eat particular foods? Um, well, one of the first reasons is cravings. They're often triggered by our senses, or maybe something jogs our memory. We see a sign, we see an advertisement or whatever, something jogs our memory often, and then we want a particular food item. Very rarely does someone say, "I want to go to a restaurant because they have great service. I want to go to a restaurant because they have clean bathrooms or clean tables or whatever." Of course, having a clean restaurant is important, and of course, having great service is important. But normally, it's the product we have a craving for. We want this particular item, and is usually why we go to a particular restaurant. Um, Now, if all you are is a delivery service, you cannot have this connection with the product because they have no product. So this is one of the reasons I don't like the delivery services. Um, I'm not a big fan of them. I've seen them around since the 80s, and they used to come and go. They always used to think, "Oh, what a great idea," and and everything, but they never last. Part of the reason being is because nobody can sit here and say, "Oh, I want Delivery.com's hamburger because they make great hamburgers." No, they don't, because they don't make a hamburger. So that's part of the problem with these delivery services. Um, anyway, the next to move on is another thing that triggers why we eat somewhere is our diet. America is becoming really one of two things: either more health conscientious or fat. Take your pick. I'm getting fatter, but I'm trying to become more health conscientious. But for majority of Americans, we are becoming more health conscientious. We are starting to work out more. We are starting to buy more organic foods. We are starting to um, control our portioning better and what we're eating. So it is a concern. I mean, you used to see no vegan restaurants or vegetarian restaurants or even vegetarian menus, and now restaurants have dedicated full sections to vegetarians or vegans or just the entire restaurant itself. Another thing, and this is a very important one, not to be downplayed, is location and convenience. And you may not think about this as being important or not, but and the effect upon it. But how many times have you driven down the street and saw McDonald's and you end up going? Or Wendy's or whatever it is, and you go there. Or you're going to pick up takeout, but hey, there's no KFC close by. So you're not going to get KFC, you're going to get Popeyes instead because Popeyes is closer. And you don't want to drive the extra 2 miles to go to get KFC or whatever. So location and convenience is really important, especially convenience. And convenience is what all the delivery service is about. You don't want to leave your house. It's more convenient to have it delivered. Convenience is very important. And it's something that never even 20, 30 years ago, convenience wasn't even spoken of as a reason for why restaurants are popular or not popular, successful or not. But convenience plays a major role in our decision making, especially, we have all this modern technology and it's supposed to make more time for us and save things for us. But, it's odd because it's really taking up more time for us. Our cell phones, our laptops, our desktop computers, all these things are just taking up actually more of our time. Interesting, I read something a few months ago. My brother sent me, and he was showing me this first computer hard drive that saved information. It was about the size of a cedar chest. And now it's been replaced by this chip that's about the size of a stamp. This was the 80s compared to now, so say 30 years. That's where we've come in 30 years. But also, I can't remember how many billions, but it was in the billions, pieces of information we pass a day now compared to what we did in the 80s because of computers. So, yeah, it's technology is helping us, but we're just doing more with it, and it's taking up more of our time to do it. So convenience is very important and not to be overlooked as a reason for why we purchase things. Because even though we have all these great things, it's also taking up our time as well. The next is advertising. And who hasn't saw a commercial on TV or gotten an ad in the newspaper or seen an ad on the internet or received a flyer in the mail and said, "Oh gosh, that sounds so good," or "That looks so good," and hasn't been influenced to buy that. Of course, we all have at some point in time. No matter how much we tried to not to, we still have all done it. What's the effect of these things? No product. There's no product to associate with. That's the biggest problem. Is they don't have anything. They don't have a product. All they are is merely the service. So, rarely does your mind sit here and say, "I want a particular type of service. I want dine-in. I want counter service. I want delivery. I want carry-out." We just don't think about the type of service we want when we think about the type of product we want. Product, and that's an important thing. We'll get into other lessons later. Is product is the number one most important thing in a restaurant. You can have a great product in a filthy restaurant and be successful. Not very likely, but it can be done. The next is the actual value of the app. If the app is good and the consumer likes the app, they're going to put it on the front page of their cell phone, their homepage. And I'll show you mine here. I've got a few things on it. I'm not a big user, but think about how many times a day you look at that. And if you can get Grubhub or Delivery.com or Uber Eats on that thing, you're looking at that dozens of times a day. It's free advertising. So, and this is something that's changed here just in the last couple of years, is the whole apps. Is, before Papa John's and the pizza places, they all had websites you can go and order from, but now if you can order from an app, it's even more convenient. Again, going back to convenience. And And not only that, but it's free advertising. You're, in a way, brainwashing your consumer by having that on their homepage every day. So if you've got a really good app, they really like your service, the value of the app can be a huge psychological advantage. The next thing I want to discuss about these new delivery service companies is how do they make money? Well, first of all, they charge really high delivery charges, $5 plus. Um, Now, the thing is, they've got to pay the employee too, and the employee's got to pay their gas. The employee, or should I say, independent contractor, because most of them aren't employees of the service company. They're going to be hire independent contractors. They're going to use their own cars. These guys are going to be volunteering their time and the use of their vehicle and gas and wear and tear, maintenance, depreciation on their car, and trade that off to make money. Hopefully, more money than what the value of their car is. Um, so that's the first way. So the delivery charges are largely going to go to the driver. Okay, the driver's going to be working for that and for their tips. So where else is the company actually going to make money? Okay, well, they get a discount from the restaurant. So your $10 hamburger that you're ordering to have delivered, they're going to get a 10% discount from the restaurant and get that $10 hamburger that you're buying for $9. Okay, they're going to collect 10 from you, and they're only going to be charged $9. Okay, the next is they're going to mark it up 10%. So now that $10 hamburger that you're buying is actually $11, so they're making a couple bucks there. Okay, so this is how they're making money. As you can see, there's not a great deal of money to be made unless you're doing a lot of volume. That's what they hope for, is to do a lot of volume. Okay, and they do probably keep part of the delivery charges as well, but you're still not talking about a lot of profit per transaction. Of course, they don't have a lot of costs involved. They make the app. Once they've made the app, and they keep it updated, like any good software. That's pretty much it. And they're going to have some sort of insurance probably to protect the drivers and whatnot. But other than that, they pretty much don't have anything else to do. So my next point is why aren't restaurants delivering themselves? In most of America, and there's spots that'll be different. Every neighborhood is different. But for the most part, you're talking about subs being delivered, Jimmy John's, and not even all the sub places deliver, and pizza places delivering. Why is that? This is a question I've asked myself for over 10 years. Actually, going back even 20 years when I owned my pizzerias. Why is it only pizzas delivered? Why? Can anyone answer that question? If you have an answer, please email me or send it to me. Why only pizza places basically deliver? And if you notice, the pizza places' menus keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I worked for Papa John's. I was manager of the year for them, rookie manager of the year for them back in 2001 in the Indianapolis market. And they said, we're going to keep the main thing when I worked for them, which meant the main thing being the main thing is we're going to keep the small and large pizzas, breadsticks, cheese breads, and soda pop. We weren't going to have flavor of the month pizzas, barbecue chicken pizza this month, spicy chicken pizza next month, meatloaf pizza the month after that. They said they weren't going to do that. They weren't going to have multiple sizes. They weren't going to add on chicken wings and all these other different products, which guess what? They've done just the opposite. Okay. Which is kind of funny because when I was with them, they even had a magazine called The Main Thing. But they've done just the opposite. Why? Because it works. And if something works, that means it increases sales and increases profits, which is what every business is about. I don't care what kind of business you own. There's only one point for a business being in business, and that's to make money. That's the sole purpose of a business, is to make money. Okay? So, but restaurants are afraid of delivery. Traditional restaurant people don't know how to do delivery. They don't know the system that it takes. They don't know the software it needs. They're afraid of drivers getting in car accidents. They're afraid that the quality of the food is going to be lower than delivered than um, having it in the restaurant. And it is. You cannot deliver. You can't make food and deliver it. Um, Sorry about that. And deliver it uh, fast enough to have it taste as the same as it would as it came out. You know, even if you did, even if it was in 2 minutes, it'd still be 2 minutes cooler than it was when it came out. It's not going to happen. The question is, can you deliver the right types of food that hold temperature properly, that hold their quality good enough to make it worth the value that you're charging? That's the question. Pizza places have done this for years, is design their pizza to be delivered. Okay, Domino's has a very soft breaded crust. They started the whole delivery phenomenon, at least nationally. Their crust is purposely soft because it delivers well. If it was a crispy, thin crust pizza, it's not going to deliver well because part of the way you keep food warm when you deliver food is steam. You keep it in a box, in an enclosed box with a couple of little holes for ventilation. That goes in a thermal bag that's got a couple of little holes for ventilation. That's going to keep it warm with steam also. If you've ever ordered a pizza in the middle of winter, the driver gets to the door and opens the bag, and a little bit of steam will come out. Um, Perfect example. Um, Food is largely kept warm with steam. Well, steam is going to ruin anything that's supposed to be crisp. So that's why you don't see a lot of thin crust pizzas being delivered. Most of the companies try to stay with the middle of the road, hand tossed. They call it a hand tossed or a medium thickness bready type pizza, and that's why they've done research upon research to know this. But again, why aren't restaurants delivering themselves? It's because of that. Deep fried foods. If you expect crisp French fries, you're not going to get a crisp French fry delivered. But there are a lot of foods that can be delivered that are good. Pastas are well. If you think about fried chicken, even though you think of fried chicken as a fried food and you think of it often as crispy, think about how many times you've gone to KFC and picked up chicken and taken a bucket home, and guess what? Number one, it was still pretty hot. Maybe not hot, but it was warm enough to eat. You didn't have to microwave it. And guess what? It still tasted pretty darn good. They get those 13 spices down pretty good, don't they? And it wasn't crisp, but it was still good. I bet you had 2 or 3 pieces. Mashed potatoes, they deliver well. So, and generally anything cold or cool is going to be just fine. Those are really easy. Those are gimmies. Those are pretty easy to deliver. So that's why part of the problem with society, and this is something you're going to probably see change, is when restaurants decide and figure out how to do this, these guys are going to be in big trouble. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, restaurants won't promote the service. Well, what do you mean, Paul? Why wouldn't they say, let's deliver this? Simple. Because restaurant discounts. So why would I, as a restaurant owner or manager, a customer calls me and says, hey, I want to order some food. And you take the order, and so you're going to say, can I get your name? You're not going to ask them for their address. You're going to ask them for their name, because guess what? You can sell a $10 hamburger for $10, not $9. Plus, when that customer comes to pick up that food and they walk out that door, hopefully you're good at carryout service, and you show the customer their product before they leave. It's amazing how many times restaurants don't do that. They hand you your bag of food and you leave. You should show them their pizza or their hamburger or whatever before at the counter and say, does it look good? If not, you can fix the problem right then and there. Otherwise, the customer goes home, they call you up, and what happens? They're yelling and cussing at you because guess what? They're not inside your restaurant. You can't see them. So a lot of times they'll be belligerent and they'll cuss you out and yell and scream at you and everything else, which you know darn well if they were ever in front of your face, they would never do that. Or inside a full restaurant. And it's just poor manners on our behalf, on customers' behalf to do that. Because manager usually wants to make you happy anyway. So the only way to succeed in the restaurant business is return business. So you have to make every customer happy because having somebody come and eat at your restaurant once or twice a year is not going to make you successful. You need to come once a week, once a month at least. So they really do want to see you come back and make you happy. And then that's the only way to get you to come back is to make you happy. So if they have to give you one out of those 52 or one out of those 12 meals free, then they're probably going to do so. But once that customer leaves and walks at your front door, now you can pretty much feel that the customer's satisfied, at least to the point where they're not going to call back and want something back, and they should return, unless the taste wasn't as good as the appearance, which hopefully isn't the case, but it's possible. But you're pretty much done with that customer. Now, I make this same hamburger, and Joe Schmo from whatever delivery company comes picks this up, and from Joe's Delivers, and I hand him the bag, and then he puts it in his thermal bag, and he takes off to go deliver it. He sets it on the passenger seat of the front car, and I tell you, this happens to every single driver, and I don't care who it is. I've been in this business for 30 years, the delivery business. They put it on the front seat, hit the brakes, slides onto the floor. It happens. The products will always happen to get damaged with a new driver eventually. And it'll take them a time or two, and they'll learn to be extra careful with it. And if they haven't done it, it's going to happen, or they've gotten lucky and they've put their hand out and caught it in time to keep it from hitting the floor. But products will get damaged during delivery. No one's perfect. It's going to happen. So that transaction, even though that food's left your restaurant now, there's still possibility there's going to be something that happens to it. Or the driver gets lost, can't find the house, whatever, the product doesn't get there warm or whatever. Because let's face it, nobody knows how to get from a restaurant to your house better than you. And that includes drivers. And not to mention that a lot of times in the restaurant business and the pizza business, drivers will end up walking out that door with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 6 deliveries. I've seen it as many as 10 deliveries at one time by a driver. There's no way that the deliveries from 3 to 7 are getting hot food. There's no way. You may as well not even send it out because 5 through 10 are going to call back and say it was cold. And that's if you're lucky, because they may not even call back and say anything and just not order from you again. So that's another reason why they're not going to want to promote it, is because there's that potential for mistakes to happen. Plus, flat out, every business is here to make money. Why would you give someone a 10% discount that you don't have to? Especially when they're marking it up another 10%. It kind of gives you a bad taste in the mouth when you're trying to be an honest businessman, that you make a product, you give them a discount, and then they mark it up even more than what you charge, and everything. So restaurants aren't going to promote the service. You're going to call up and people call up, and you're not going to say, hey, go to so-and-so website or download this app and order delivery from here. You're not going to do that, because why would you do that? You make less money and you have more risk. And then the next thing is these companies, they don't do any advertising. None. I have yet to see a TV ad or a flyer from any of these companies, a radio advertisement or anything. The only way you can find it is if you Google them and find the the website. And then you have to read about them, and are you in their delivery area or they're not? Or do they deliver these hours? Because a lot of them will deliver 11 to 2 and 6 to 9. Um, and then it's a little bit confusing about, okay, am I, um, which restaurants do you deliver to? And it's kind of a hassle. In all honesty, it's not as easy as going to, some pizza places uh, website and ordering pizza, which again isn't the easiest thing either. Well, Caesars has been making a big deal of that in their TV advertisements. Um, Also, speaking of, Caesar reminds me of Domino's. Domino's Pizza isn't anymore. It's just Domino's now. And because they're not just pizza anymore. Well, not that they've expanded their menu greatly, but they've got wings, they've got sandwiches, they've got pastas and stuff. But they see what the future is going to become. They're going to find that their pizza sales, if they can come up with a good menu and new products, that they are going to find that there's so much money to be made outside pizza. The problem is traditionally pizza places only have one piece of cooking equipment, and it's not even an oven. It's a conveyor belt oven, which cooks differently than a normal oven. So they can't cook everything a normal oven can cook. Um, so, but they don't have a deep fryer. They don't have a grill. They don't have a stove to saute or any of these things. So that's part of the problem the pizza places are going to have when traditional restaurants that have all these types of equipment uh, start to deliver. And I think that is on the horizon. So this is part one. I still have a few more things I like to cover on this service company, but I'm going to sweep off my dry erase board, add up the rest of it, and catch that on part two of new delivery service companies. Thank you, and see you in just a moment.